All right, so today we're going to dive into a story
Okay.
that involves a cybersecurity breach.
Okay.
And not just any breach. This one hit the U.S. Treasury Department.
Wow.
So we've got these news articles that kind of paint a pretty alarming picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also found this file we dug up that's just labeled chinahack.txt.
Interesting.
So yeah, get ready because we're about to untangle a whole lot of accusations, denials, and a whole lot of international intrigue.
Yeah, it sounds like a spy novel already.
Right.
What's really fascinating right off the bat is it doesn't sound like this was just some script kiddie, messing around.
Right.
U.S. officials are actually pointing the finger at Chinese state-sponsored hackers.
Okay, so state-sponsored hackers. That definitely, raises the stakes.
It does.
And, the sources keep mentioning this term, advanced persistent threat, or APT.
Yeah.
It does sound like something out of a spy novel.
It does.
Can you break that down for us a little bit? What exactly are we talking about here?
So imagine instead of like a smash-and-grab robbery, right?
Yeah.
You've got this group of thieves that are meticulously casing a bank for months.
Okay.
Learning all the guards' routines, the vault's weaknesses, all without, ever setting off an alarm.
Right.
That's kind of the essence of an APT.
Interesting.
It's all about stealthy, long-term infiltration, not brute force.
Okay, so less about immediate damage, more about kind of strategic positioning, intel gathering.
Exactly. These hackers are playing the long game.
Okay.
They're burrowing deep into systems.
Yeah.
Often remaining undetected for months or even years.
Oh.
And their goal is to steal sensitive data, disrupt operations, or even just establish a foothold for future attacks.
So we've got these digital spies, potentially backed by a nation state, infiltrating the U.S. Treasury.
Eventually.
And this chinahack.txt file that we've got kind of shed some light on how they might have pulled this off. Looks like they exploited a third-party cybersecurity company called Beyond Trust.
Ah, yes, the classic third-party vulnerability.
Right.
That's a really common tactic.
Yeah. A lot of organizations focus so much on securing their own systems, but they forget that they're only as strong as the weakest link in their supply chain.
And in this case, Beyond Trust was supposed to be protecting the Treasury.
Right.
It's got to be a major headache for them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So what did these hackers actually manage to get their hands on?
Well, the sources indicate they accessed unclassified documents.
Okay, so unclassified documents, not like top secret stuff.
Right.
Not a big deal, right?
Well, before, you think that's not a big deal. Consider this.
Okay.
Even seemingly harmless information when pieced together can reveal a lot about an organization. Think about blueprints for a building.
Okay.
Not classified.
Right.
But they still show the layout, the potential entry point structural weaknesses.
Right.
That's the kind of insight even unclassified data can provide to a motivated attacker. So it's not just about stealing top secret files.
No.
It's about gaining intel, understanding the system.
Right.
Finding those vulnerabilities for future exploitation, like casing the joint before the real heist.
Precisely. And that's what makes these APT attacks so dangerous.
Yeah.
They're not just about immediate damage. It's about strategic advantage and long-term disruption.
Which kind of brings up the question for me.
Yeah.
How did Beyond Trust, a cybersecurity company, get hacked themselves?
Right. It's like a security guard leaving the keys in the lock.
Exactly.
This incident really highlights the growing threat of these supply chain attacks.
Okay.
Hackers know that targeting a large organization directly might be too difficult. So they go after smaller, often less secure vendors or partners.
Right.
It's all about finding the weakest link and exploiting it.
So it's not just about having strong defenses yourself.
Yeah.
It's about ensuring that every single partner, every vendor you work with is just as vigilant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A single weak point can compromise an entire system. And that's a lesson that applies to organizations of all sizes.
Yeah.
Not just government agencies.
Yeah.
You are only as strong as your weakest link.
Okay, so Beyond Trust got breached, potentially leading to this Treasury hack.
Potentially, yeah.
What happened next? Did Beyond Trust just shrug and hope nobody noticed?
Well, to their credit, it seems like they took pretty swift action.
Okay.
They notified their customers, took the compromised service offline, and started cooperating with law enforcement.
Okay.
But it does raise an important question.
Yeah.
Were those actions enough?
Right.
And what lessons can other organizations learn from this to prevent similar breaches in the future?
Yeah, even with swift action, the damage might already be done.
Yeah, that's true.
And now we have this whole finger-pointing situation with the U.S. blaming China.
Right.
And not surprisingly, China's singing a different tune.
Right. They've issued a complete denial, calling the accusations baseless and politically motivated.
And this is where I think the story gets even more complex.
Yeah.
Because you have to consider this bigger geopolitical context.
Absolutely.
Relations between the U.S. and China haven't exactly been sunshine and roses lately.
Not at all. We're seeing escalating tensions on multiple fronts, trade wars, technological competition, even disagreements on the international stage.
Yeah.
And this hack occurred just weeks before a new U.S. president was set to take office.
Right.
Adding another layer of complexity to an already tense situation.
And if we dig a little deeper into the sources, we find that this isn't even the first time the U.S. has pointed the finger at China for cyber attacks.
Right.
Back in September 2024, they blamed China for a massive incident affecting over 200,000 devices worldwide.
It is a lot of devices, and it highlights the scale and sophistication of these operations.
Yeah.
But there's a fundamental challenge here.
Yeah.
Attribution in cyberspace is incredibly difficult.
Okay.
It's a shadowy world where evidence is often circumstantial.
Right.
And it's really easy for these actors to hide their tracks or even intentionally mislead investigators.
So it becomes a game of smoke and mirrors.
It really does.
Even if there's strong suspicion, definitively proving who's behind the cyber attack is almost impossible.
Exactly. And that's why we often see this pattern of accusations and denials with no clear resolution.
Right.
It creates a really dangerous environment where trust is eroded.
Right.
And accountability becomes incredibly difficult to establish.
Yeah. It's a tough situation for sure.
It is.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back to dive even deeper into this story.
Sounds good.
Stay with us.
All right.
So we're in this murky world of cyber espionage where, proving anything is like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It feels like we're constantly trying to catch shadows. But this incident with the Treasury Department, it's not just an isolated event.
No, it's not. It really highlights a much bigger issue.
Yeah.
A systemic vulnerability that goes beyond any single hack or target.
Okay.
We're talking about the interconnected nature of our digital world.
Right.
One weak link, like we saw with Beyond Trust, can have ripple effects across entire industries.
Wow.
Even globally.
It's like that butterfly effect thing.
Yeah. One hacker in some basement halfway across the world could trigger a financial meltdown without even realizing it.
That's crazy.
That's the reality we live in.
Wow.
And that interconnectedness, that's what makes cyber warfare so difficult to combat.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional battlefield with clear boundaries.
Right.
The front lines are everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
So how do we even begin to defend ourselves in this constantly shifting digital landscape?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It feels like we're always playing catch up with the hackers. We need to move beyond a purely defensive mindset.
Okay.
Strong cybersecurity measures are essential.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we also need to be proactive.
Okay.
We need to identify and disrupt these threat actors before they can launch their attacks.
That sounds incredibly difficult.
It is.
Yeah.
How do you even find these digital ghosts in the first place?
Yeah. They're experts at covering their tracks.
It requires a multifaceted approach.
Oh,
sophisticated technology to detect anomalies, human intelligence to understand the actors and their motives, and international collaboration to share information and coordinate responses.
Wow. It's like a global game of cyber chess.
It is.
Constantly anticipating the opponent's next move and hoping we're not always one step behind.
Exactly.
So much of this seems to be on this massive scale involving governments and intelligence agencies. What about like everyday people, our listeners? What can they do to protect themselves?
Right. In this wild west of cyberspace, there's actually a lot individuals can do to improve their own cybersecurity posture.
Okay, good.
First and foremost, be mindful of your online behavior.
Okay.
Don't click on suspicious links or open attachments from unknown senders.
Yeah, good advice.
Be cautious about what personal information you share on social media. And always use strong, unique passwords for every single online account.
Okay, those are good reminders.
Yeah.
We hear them a lot, but it's easy to get complacent.
It is. Enable two-factor authentication whenever possible.
Okay.
It adds an extra layer of security by requiring you to confirm your identity through a second device like your phone.
Okay.
And keep your software updated.
Right.
Those updates often include critical security patches that protect you from known vulnerabilities.
Okay.
So stay informed, be cautious, and keep your digital shields up.
Got it.
But zooming back out to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
what about governments and large organizations.
Yeah.
What steps can they take to address this growing cyber threat?
Yeah.
For starters, they need to invest in robust cybersecurity infrastructure.
Okay.
That means having the right tools, the right talent, and the resources to stay ahead of the curve.
That makes sense.
It's not just about technology, though. It's also about having the legal and policy frameworks in place to deter attacks and respond effectively when they do occur.
Right, because building higher digital walls isn't enough.
It's not.
You need the right strategies and laws in place to deal with the fallout when those walls inevitably get breached.
Exactly, and this is where international cooperation becomes absolutely crucial.
Okay.
Cyberattacks don't respect borders.
Right.
So we need a coordinated global response, sharing information, coordinating strategies.
Okay.
And establishing international norms for behavior in cyberspace.
So we need a united front recognizing that this is a global problem.
We do.
That demands a global solution.
It does.
No single country can tackle this alone.
Precisely. And this cooperation has to happen at all levels.
Okay.
From government agencies and law enforcement to private companies, even down to individual citizens taking those basic precautions.
Yeah.
We all have a role to play
Right.
in making cyberspace safer.
That's actually a hopeful thought.
It is.
It's empowering to know that we're not just helpless victims in this digital world.
Well,
no, we can take action.
We can.
Both individually and collectively to make a difference.
Absolutely. But it all starts with awareness and understanding.
Okay.
The more we understand the complexities of this threat,
the
better equipped we'll be to combat it.
And that's a big part of what we're doing here.
It is.
On the deep dive.
Right.
So, listeners, consider yourselves officially more aware.
Yes.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's one more piece of the cyber puzzle we need to examine.
Okay.
And it might be the most complex piece of all.
The human factor.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
We've talked tech, we've talked geopolitics. Now we're going inside the minds of the hackers. Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get really interesting.
All right.
All right. So we've explored the technical side of these attacks, delved into the, geopolitical landscape. But now it's time to get inside the minds of the hackers themselves.
Right.
What makes somebody
spend their days in the digital shadows trying to break into systems?
This is where things get really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because behind all the code and sophisticated techniques, we're ultimately dealing with human beings, each with their own unique motivations, ideologies, and vulnerabilities.
So it's not as simple as picturing like some evil mastermind in a darkened room hacking away with malicious glee.
Right, exactly.
There's more to it than that.
Much more. While that stereotype might make for good Hollywood drama, the reality is far more nuanced.
Okay.
Some hackers are driven purely by financial gain.
Okay.
Looking to exploit systems for profit.
So like digital bank robbers.
Yeah, exactly. Stealing data, holding systems hostage for ransom.
Okay.
Others might be motivated by strong political ideologies, using their skills to disrupt governments or advance specific agendas.
So it's a mix of greed, political activism, maybe even like a twisted sense of idealism.
Precisely. And then there's the psychological element.
Some hackers might be driven by the challenge.
Okay.
The intellectual thrill of outsmarting security systems.
Right.
Others might crave recognition within the hacker community.
Okay.
Seeking notoriety and status among their peers.
Right, like bragging rights.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a complex interplay of factors that can be difficult to untangle.
It's almost like a digital version of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
You've got basic needs like money and power.
Right.
And then you move up to these higher level needs, belonging, recognition, even a sense of purpose.
And it highlights why understanding the human element is so crucial in cybersecurity.
Okay.
If we want to effectively combat cybercrime, we can't just focus on technical solutions. We need to understand the psychology, the motivations, the vulnerabilities of the people behind the attack.
So it's not just about building better firewalls.
No.
It's about understanding the minds of the people trying to break through them.
Exactly. That's where fields like behavioral analysis and threat intelligence come in.
Okay.
By studying the patterns, the tactics, the motivations of different hacker groups.
Right.
We can start to anticipate their moves.
Yeah.
And develop more effective strategies for prevention and deterrence.
It's almost like profiling, but for cyber criminals.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Trying to understand their mindset, their goals, their weaknesses.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And just like in criminal profiling, the goal is to anticipate the attacker's next move.
Right.
To understand their tactics and ultimately to disrupt their plans before they can cause harm.
So we've come full circle.
We have.
We started by talking about this specific cyber attack on the U.S. Treasury.
Right.
And now we're talking about, these broader human factors that drive cybercrime around the world.
It's a global issue.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's clear that this is much bigger than any one incident or organization.
That's the key takeaway here.
Okay.
Cybersecurity is not just a technical problem, it's a human problem.
Right.
And until we fully grasp that human element, we'll always be playing catch-up in this digital arms race.
That's a sobering yet fascinating thought to kind of leave our listeners with.
It is.
It makes you realize that cybersecurity is about more than just software updates and strong passwords.
It is.
It's about understanding those human motivations.
Right.
The psychology behind these attacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we navigate this increasingly complex digital world, it's vital to remember that the human factor will always be at the heart of the cybersecurity challenge.
So the next time you're updating your passwords or thinking twice before clicking on a suspicious link, remember that you're not just protecting your own data. You're also playing a role in this larger global effort to combat cybercrime.
And that's a fight we can win.
Yeah.
If we work together, stay informed, and never underestimate the power of the human element on both sides of the equation.
Yeah. On that note, we'll leave you to ponder the vast and ever-evolving world of cybersecurity. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the murky depths of cybercrime.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe out there in the digital wilds.